Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm Danny Vega, joined by my lovable co-host, Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm good after like 3 days of fighting with Spectrum. I finally have internet. Came in clutch about an hour before we were supposed to record. So thank you, Michael, from Spectrum. Actually, I do have a pretty weird story. So I got this like strange bill. I basically got double billed from Spectrum. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I don't even have internet from you guys yet. And I called them and the woman on the phone was like, listen, honey, you haven't been billed anything yet. You just have to wait until like the bill actually comes. And she was like, but I can tell that you're a planner. You remind me so much of my daughter. She's getting surgery in Guatemala and I can't be there because of COVID. And she just like went on and on about how talking to me was a blessing. I was like crying, low-key.
So were you not cool with her kind of opening up and sharing her stuff, or was it like a nice human touch?
So, I mean, it got a little borderline like TMI. However, it's a weird time for everyone. And I was like, you know what? That was such a nice, weird, like not weird, a nice, unexpected thing to happen. I'm not going to hate on this person. Like, she seemed so grateful. And I was like, I'm glad that me being like a complete neurotic person has given this poor woman some comfort.
I feel a lot for customer service people. I know, people who call customer service, myself included, are nightmarish people. Today I called Delta.
Oh boy.
These motherfuckers, they gave me a travel credit. Well, they weren't motherfuckers back there because I had appendicitis, so I couldn't take a flight. And I opted to take a credit. And now the credit it expires.
Oh, no way.
So I call and I'm like, listen, you're not letting me use the credit. I'm trying to use the credit for me and a friend. Mm-hmm. And they, you can't use it on a friend. It's only for you. And I'm like, what does it matter? It's the same. I'm being
it's fake
on an
money that you guys are keeping. Like, who the fuck cares?
Exactly. And then, so I'm trying not to get angry at the customer service guy. I'm like, I know it's not your policy, but I'm building a lot of anger and resentment toward them. I'm like, there's a freaking pandemic. So sorry I couldn't fly this year, you stupid company. Don't fly Delta, everybody. That's the penalty that I'm laying down right now. Do not fly Delta. Don't fly American. One time I took an American flight and it had no air conditioner, and I'll never forgive them for that.
Oh, God.
JetBlue is great. I've actually had really good experience on Spirit. But
wow.
I will say,
you're the only person.
I'm the only person. I think
I had a very bad JetBlue experience. My flight was delayed for 5 hours and they never told us why, which meant that I landed on a completely different day than I was supposed to. And this was the one time I went in because I was like, this is so upsetting. They did not give me a single cent in compensation. They did not even apologize. They were pretty much just like, look, bitch, it is what it is. And stuff happens sometimes. And I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I'm not at a go nuclear point, but I do have a history of going nuclear. And if Delta does not cave to my demands, I will come for them.
Good luck getting delta.com SEO, though, I will say.
I will not need to use my SEO. I will use my TikTok. I will threaten them. I will point the SEO gun at their head. And I will say, this is going to be a problem for you. You're going to be tweeted at. It will be a thing. It'll be part of your life. Do you want me in your life, Delta? Then you're going to give me the credit. And you're going to extend it because there's a global pandemic. And you had empathy for me when I had appendicitis. But now 200,000 Americans are dead, and you're like, oh, well, you got to use it this year. I don't want to.
That's hilarious. I feel like if you threaten to make a disparaging TikTok, then Delta is going to in turn start lobbying President Trump to ban TikTok.
Oh, I'm sure.
That'd be so funny.
They're going to ban.
I feel you.
They're banning TikTok because of me. They're censoring. They see that it's the only platform where I can call myself an influencer.
Literally.
And the federal government says we need to quiet Danny. He's always yelling. He's always plugging the Patreon now. Just he needs to be controlled, and that is I'm considered a threat along with China, as Trump likes to say, China.
Yeah, they're like, that Danny Vega is getting too big. We better shut down the whole app, not just his account.
Yeah, kill the whole app. I don't use it. I actually don't use TikTok. I don't browse it. I'm like, I don't need this in my life.
You're better off for it. I feel like I always browse it at like 11 p.m. when I'm in bed. And then I'm like, God damn it, everyone is so funny and coordinated. and attractive? Like, what? Where have I gone wrong?
I saw your tweet about it. You're a TikTok fan. I like it.
I do like
It's
TikTok
adorable.
because people are just like so funny on there that it actually makes me mad. Also, one of my deep insecurities is that I cannot and have never been able to dance. And I just see all these people and I'm like, fuck. Again, where have I gone wrong in life?
I love that you admitted that because I have a similar thing with singing. Oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this publicly. This will be the end of me. This and TikTok. I was the lead in High School Musical my senior year of high school.
Yes.
And I did not, it was my first sort of big break. And yeah, that's right. I would have fucking made it. All right. You don't even know who I would have been had I nailed this part. But I didn't know, Sarah. I didn't know how much preparation it took. I didn't know how to sing. I didn't know how to dance. And I didn't really internalize, like, this is a lot of effort. And a week before the show, the director came to me. This is a big fat YTA. And he goes, you're just not ready. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, thanks for letting me know now. Like, where were you, Mr. Director? You're just going to come to me now, an 18-year-old, which is a penis with a gun taped to it, and tell me, I don't know. And there were two friends of mine in Casa Grande, Ken and Stacy, big shouts, Black Box Theater. And that's right, a Casa Grande reference. Strap in, everybody. This is going to be...
For the one person who gets that.
For the one... Hey, we got a lot of Casa Grande listeners. Don't forget it. And anyway, they stood up to the task, and they helped me as much as they could. But I bombed, Sarah. I bombed. And I couldn't sing, and I feel very bad about my performance, and I wake up in a cold sweat every third month, and oh my God. And also, fun fact: I forget what was Troy's girlfriend in High School Musical. Gabriella wouldn't kiss me. She wouldn't kiss me, and now she's an influencer in LA. So I got a lot of anger about that I'm not working out in therapy, but need to.
Okay, my question is, how did you get the role if you were not good?
In some bizarre, like, deal with the devil-esque performance, I literally sung perfectly for the audition. So I guess I'm not tone deaf, but I don't have the sort of acumen to, under pressure in front of an auditorium of 500 Casa Grande high schoolers, which actually is one of the most judgmental audiences that can exist. I was not the same, and I wasn't executing on it. And I want to learn to sing.
You really hustled that audition.
I really did.
Like inadvertently.
Inadvertently, yeah, and to the detriment of literally everyone. Guys, please help us out by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to this podcast on the podcast app. It's very simple. It takes like 15 seconds. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Also, we have a Patreon. We need but 9 more subscribers to double our bonus episodes. Guys, we'll be doing one every single week. There's a lot of juice in there. And you ready for this? Sarah has a story. This episode's going out tomorrow. Juicy story about getting straight up ghosted by her friend. Are you kidding me? You know you want that shit. What else is in the bonus app releasing tomorrow? Great question. AITA for telling everyone exactly why I'm getting divorced. AITA for bailing on a hike when an unfit person came along. And AITA for telling my sister I'm concerned about her health. Thanks for putting up with the ads. Here's a reward for you. A little round of Guess the Verdict. Sarah, AITA, for canceling my daughter's therapy because she has bad grades.
Ooh, YTA.
Well, I was hoping that you would do 4-dimensional chess, and I was wrong because that is correct.
Yes.
OP is a grade A monster, truly one for the books. I think this quote sums it all up. I was paying $120 per session and seeing no progress in her marks, her grades, makes me feel like I'm seriously wasting my money. IBI 15 top verdict. She's returned to normal, he's quoting. I don't think you understand how depression works. It sounds like all you care about are her grades and not that she gets to a better place mentally. YTA. But good news, Sarah. The OP edited the post and wrote, I deeply apologize for my ignorant replies and for hurting so many people. So you love to see it.
AITA for not paying my niece after she babysat my child.
Okay, I'm going to play 4-dimensional chess, perhaps to my detriment, and say, not the asshole and the niece is. Here we go.
Yes, you're correct.
Aha.
So basically, the niece used to babysit OP's daughter and get paid, and the niece kind of just tried to pull a little scam when she approached OP and was like, oh, I would love to take your daughter out, have her over for the weekend. It would be so fun. And OP is like, oh, what a nice gesture. And the niece goes, no problem, everything just like old times. And the OP says, yeah, sure, we're excited to see you. And then the niece hits OP with an invoice after the weekend. So the niece was like, hey, I would love to take your daughter and spend some time with her this weekend. and not like, hey, I need money, and so can I babysit?
And then invoiced retro. Oh, what a dirty move.
Yeah.
AITA for not letting my husband meet our firstborn child.
Ooh. Oh, this could go so many ways. I'm going to go NTA.
Sarah, you are looking very good. You might beat me today. NTA is correct. Now, this story is a whole bunch of juice. Basically, the hubby, the wife is like deep in the throes of prego. She's like, whatever, like 14 months pregnant.
What?
So they go to bed, and the hubby has a friend, Anna, and Anna's brother gets into a car accident. Husband pieces in the middle of the night.
What?
To help her, I guess, because there's a whole situation. Anna needs a ride. And she's like, well, I'm comfortable with their friendship, but this is a little bit unprecedented because he just rushed out in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm. So much.
Of course, then OP has her water breaks.
Oh, no.
So then she's like, well, where's my husband? And he's not being responsive. And so then, she goes to the hospital. Her dad has to get looped in, and it's a whole thing. So then finally the husband shows up, and she kind of admits to a level of vindictiveness based on my read, but then also is just like, I didn't want to see him with the baby because like I wanted this to be a happy moment, and I was so angry at him. Queen_Aurelia with top Reddit comment writes, NTA, any decent hubby would make sure to have his phone on him with a wife about to give birth. And when he found out you got in labor, he should have rushed to be with you. He chose Anna over you and your daughter. He missed the most important moment in your lives to be there for her. Marriage counseling at a bare min.
That's interesting. I thought it was going to be some like monster situation where like, the father dipped out or was a complete dick.
Well,
or cheated.
He did dip out.
Oh, I meant like dipped out after the woman got pregnant.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
I thought it was going to be like he's a total monster. That's actually interesting. I'm not sure how I would go on that, but
I mean, I think that it's tough, and you also have a really interesting dynamic here because male-female friendships, and I'm talking about heteronormative shit, so I apologize, but male-female friendships in a hetero context, in a marriage context, it gets a little dicey out there. It does. I mean, movies have been made about the subject, but it's very interesting to me, and I think that's a huge component here. I think if the husband had been with his friend Greg, I think there would be potentially a lot less emotion, but because he was with another woman, that's like, I think that adds a whole layer of infuriating to it. Personally, I'm mad at this husband. I mean, and then to miss the birth? I mean, everyone says that's like the moment. That's like the one. That sits with you forever, and you didn't see the birth?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would think it was worse or better with a male or female friend. Because it's almost like if it was a male friend, it could easily just be like, oh, fucking Greg couldn't call anyone else.
Well, I think that made it more emotional for her, though. I mean, it certainly would make me more emotional.
I can see that angle.
I mean, I just miss the burst. I mean, that's like you went to Coachella and then you fell asleep for Beyonce. Like, you fucking blew it, bro.
AITA for not trying to catch a falling lady with a baby and stepping aside instead.
What the fuck? I want to win so bad. I mean, my best case scenario here is a tie. Okay. Why? No, why? No. Okay, I'm going no assholes here.
Wrong.
I was on a streak.
You were doing very well. This is honestly a total bullshit scenario. Like, this woman, I guess, was she had a baby carrier. She started to fall because the bus stopped short. OP could have caught her, but of course, OP is also a petite woman and had a baby carrier of her own. This never fucking happened. And then the other passengers called her the asshole when she stepped aside instead of catching her. Again, this didn't happen. So Reddit says not the asshole because she had to protect her baby first.
Oh boy. Well, a big eye roll because now I've lost my guess the verdict crown on a situation that you called bullshit like 9 times in the course of 7 seconds. But it's fair,
Don't
Sarah.
hate the player, hate the game.
I'm handing you the crown. Sarah is the guess the verdict queen.
Yes.
And even though I'm hurt, folks, I'm sad. I'm in a bad place. I got to come out of it. I got to come up because we got one heck of an F for you today. Our second story of the day, AITA for banning my father from my home because he banned me from his when I was younger. But first, AITA for asking my GF to get done up. This was taken from Dear Prudy. This is a mutation communication from Prudy.
Oh, Prudy. What a good lady.
Prudy. I have a great relationship with my girlfriend, whom I've been dating for more than a year. Our communication is open and clear about most topics, except this one small thing. Sometimes I wish she would wear makeup on the special nights we go out, or even once in a while for the fun of it. At the same time, I'm extremely reluctant to voice this desire. I know that women are expected to spend way more time and money on their appearance than men are, and I don't want to hurt her feelings or suggest I don't like her the way she is. I do, and at the same time, I really liked when in previous relationships, my partner would put on some makeup now and then. It was just a fun change of pace, and it genuinely looks beautiful. I'd like my partner to try out some makeup. I know she has done it in the past, but it's very rare. How do I tactfully suggest that she wear some mascara for our next date night without sounding rude, sexist, or thoughtless? Is that possible, or should I just let this go and not say anything?
Interesting. I mean, we've done a similar situation before. It resulted in Danny's crucifixion.
Putting it nicely, she's definitely rounding down. I was crucified upside down, actually.
But the thing actually is, like, this, and I know a lot of people in the comments were pretty riled up. I personally was not. And that's because I think that there is actually a pretty easy way to try to approach this, which is simply to just try to be like, hey, I love when you do this.
Right. I agree with that. I think this should be straightforward, but you're 100% right. I kind of want to read some comments, which were, I feel that these comments are all very dogmatic. Sarah W. writes, OP, would you wear makeup to appease your significant other? Probably not. YTA. Lauren H. YTA, you don't say it. You don't say anything. It's her body, her choice, you chauvinist dick. Bailey T. Maybe try wearing some makeup for your partner instead. You know, why not? Doll yourself up.
Okay, I do feel like there is a male equivalent, or, you know, a heteronormative straight male equivalent of doing this. And it's one thing if, like, the OP is, like, in stained sweatpants and never shaves or brushes his teeth and is like, put on some makeup. But, I mean, if he can also get dressed up and get a little nice. And it's not the same as, like, you know, brushing on some mascara, but there is a way to similarly communicate effort.
100%. Mary B concurs. She says, I think as long as you're also dressing up for her somehow. If she says she does not want to, though, drop it and don't bring it up again. Face paint should not be a make or break in a relation. And if it is for you, you don't love her enough and she should move on.
Like, agree, but also he's not saying that at all. Like, this kind of annoys me. It's like everyone's really reading into it. He's like, I love her the way she is, but I love when she wears makeup and I want her to do it more. And I feel like there's nothing really wrong with that. It's okay.
Right. I mean, I think you're spot on that there's a fairly straightforward trade here. You know, you agree to dress to the nines, and I was crucified before for saying, you know, which I think is it is an unfair standard, because I don't actually think that's 100% fair. Let me say that's an insight I've had. Right. For me to put on a suit or whatever, a dress shirt and pants and black shoes, I know that you ladies are spending hours in the restroom and you're getting all done up. I don't think it's fair. So I don't actually think that's a fair trade. I want to cite Stephen L. here, who writes, quote, negotiating how to please each other without being overly demanding or having unreasonable expectations is part of being in a relationship. I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
And I think what needs to happen is an honest discussion about, you know, what does this entail? Because look, it's recognizing the reality, which is that women have to put in more time to do this shit. You know, I don't know the difference between mascara and olives. You know, it's all the same to me. So, and I recognize that. So I see that this can be a trade. This can be a compromise. Maybe it's, hey, you know, I'd really like for you to go all out because, you know, I want my friends to think you're hot at the stupid event we're going to watch, the socially distanced concert of Beyonce. Then I think that's part of a conversation there where you say, you know, I know it's going to take you a couple hours, Susie, so I'd be happy to throw out the trash this week, even though it's your week or whatever. I'm saying make some kind of additional concession. Nice.
I feel like maybe you're overcorrecting a little bit because makeup doesn't have to take hours. And frankly, I feel like it really only does if you're very serious about it and doing like a full contour face, which this person seems like a casual makeup user. Putting on mascara takes like a minute and a half.
I mean, Sarah, then what's going on in the bathroom? I mean, I feel gaslit here. I know you ladies are in the bathroom for hours. I'm not crazy. This is happening, Sarah.
Well, maybe the people that you're sharing a bathroom with are doing all these things, but like you're not noticing it. Like most straight men like can't notice. I don't know. They think Kim Kardashian has a natural makeup look, and it's like she contours a totally different face on her face. But if it's done well, you can't tell. I'm just saying that this OP does not appear to be asking her to do intense makeup or like blow dry her hair and then barrel curl it. That takes an hour for me at least.
Okay.
He's literally just like, can you swipe on some mascara, which is like pretty low lift. I feel like if this is a respectful relationship, they've been dating for more than a year, this doesn't seem to be super make or break.
Okay, so that's yeah. I guess
because he's not like the other OP where he's like, oh, I hate that you would spend hours in the bathroom like primping and shaving and waxing and like, I don't know why I used 3 synonyms for the same activity, but like doing all these activities, and then when she stopped, he felt entitled to have her continue to do it. Like that's different than just being like, hey, I prefer it sometimes when you do this. It looks nice.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, look, I think that's all part of the discussion here. But you're 100% right. In terms of OP, I don't think he's asking for a ton. I think I'm just generalizing here that I think it's important to be aware and be honest, to be transparent on what this entails. And men, we don't know. You use all these terms, barrel curl. You know, you say barrel curl, I picture Star Fox 64. I picture a spaceship rolling, and I don't think that's what's happening.
That's exactly what it is.
I knew it. You ladies have 64s in those bathrooms. God damn it. I'm going in. The bottom line here is really that, I disagree with what some of the commenters are saying, which is Emma M writes, it's fine for you to want her to wear makeup. It's not fine for you to ask her to. Why? Why is it not fine?
Yeah, I think it's like people have gotten a little bit, I think we're going a little overboard with the like, you're never entitled to like, okay, I feel like the argument on you're not entitled to tell someone what to do with like their body and appearance is valid, but now it's been mutated as to like, you can't ask someone to your like loving partner to do something because you like it. And maybe that you have like a look that they like that they want to see more of too.
Exactly.
I think it can go both ways. It can be a give and take. Of course, he can't come in here demanding that she do a certain thing all the time, but I don't really see the harm in nicely asking.
100%. I mean, I think that's a very toxic attitude. You should be able to ask questions to your partner and negotiate things. I mean, I feel like when you get into this very dogmatic thing that like that somehow asking or recognizing that, you know, women are, we are human beings, are physical beings, and we look a certain way, and look, we like when each other looks good. So of course this should be something that can be talked about in a relationship. I think it's toxic if you're in a relationship where you know, virtually anything, especially something as important as physical appearance, is off the table for discussion.
Yeah, I think it's okay to broach it respectfully. Again, it's one thing to demand and be entitled. It's another thing to ask. I think we should feel okay with asking.
100%. Jessica S. writes, NTA, I like my hubby to look nice and well groomed. If he'd ask me nicely to put some makeup on and do my hair, I would absolutely do it. So not everyone is on this. I mean, we focus on some of the more extremist commenters. Whisper M, how to tell your partner you think they should wear makeup more often, you don't. So I'm a little bit surprised because Whisper's a great commenter, but let's see what she goes on, people. She goes, I know for a fact that my husband enjoys when I wear makeup. You know what else I know for a fact? It'll be a cold day in hell before he ever tells me he thinks I should wear it more often than I do. Well, see, I think that's slightly different though, because that feels like very demanding. Oh, you should wear makeup more often, babe. It's like, well, no, that doesn't feel like asking and having a conversation. That feels like demanding. And as we've talked about in many ways, demanding is almost always a wrong move.
Yeah. I mean, there's something totally different than being like, you should wear makeup more often, being like, hey, we're going to a nice place. Like, I would love it if you would do XYZ.
Whisper M goes on, but if you have to ask a group of strangers how to communicate with your partner of a year, YTA for not learning her cues and figuring out your own appropriate way to poke this fragile bear.
Okay, like what, are we all supposed to be mind readers? If we were, then we wouldn't have this subreddit. I'm sorry, Whisper. This isn't it.
Oh, I never come for OP for asking. I think I don't agree with her on that note, but I do think it's important. You know, I do feel some alarm at the fact that this can't be a conversation, this kind of tiptoeing. And I guess I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth because I see a lot of internalized unassertiveness here. So, well, there's a gap though, right? There's a gap between being assertive, which is good, being assertive, asking questions. Those are in the sort of same word cloud. Whereas demanding shit is not. You don't want to be a demander. You can be assertive without making demands, and I think that's a fine line.
I mean, I think the very responses that we got to this are proof of why it would be necessary for OP to consult internet advice. Because it's like, oh, you should know how to communicate with your partner, but as everyone is proving, this is a pretty surprisingly a delicate topic, so it kind of makes sense that OP would want to solicit outside viewpoints. I don't necessarily think they're wrong for doing so.
You're right, and it's become a politicized and complicated issue because, you know, I mean, personally, I try to avoid complimenting women on their looks, which is something that I picked up, and it's very weird now because my crush loves to be complimented on her looks. It's like her favorite thing.
I mean, who doesn't?
Yeah, well, I guess I've always felt tight about it. I felt like it's something you don't do. I guess I felt like it was objectifying. I guess I don't know if I'm reading the wrong tweets, but I sort of had a perception that you just don't touch that. Because I equate it to like catcalling and that it's crass.
I mean, it's all to me it's about context, and also it's just about the individual person.
Right.
I mean, if this is someone you're dating, I'm sure they would enjoy being complimented on their appearance. Unless they have a lot of like, not trauma. What's the word? I don't know. Unless they have a lot of insecurities and they don't want to touch that at all. I mean, everyone's different. I don't know what to say. I mean, there are obviously contexts in which it's like not okay, such as the workplace.
Right. Oh, okay. See, yeah, there you go. So there is a bit of a minefield aspect to it for men. We're confused. So I'm just backing up here what you said. We shouldn't fault OP for asking a bunch of strangers here. No way.
I mean, it's okay, yeah.
Justine H kind of lines up. I feel like it depends on the person. For me, someone who isn't into aesthetics, this would be a red flag. Why don't you just ask her to dress up one night and see what that means to her? I feel like that's very fair. Channy H says, I personally would want to know if my spouse felt that way. It doesn't necessarily mean she has to agree to wear makeup occasionally, but it's information, and information is always good in a relationship. I love that. I thought that was a great thing.
I think that's also fair.
And I will tease people here. I mentioned my crush briefly. You know the bonus episode is going to be loaded with all the juicy crush gossip.
Danny still won't tell me the identity. I have some theories. I need to know more.
You have to listen to the Patreon, folks. Taylor A writes, I think it's comical reading through these responses because if your post was the opposite and she was wearing too much makeup and you wanted her to go natural more often because she's beautiful to you like that, you wouldn't be the asshole like in some of these responses. I think that kind of cuts to the core to the dogmatists who say, oh, you never bring this up. You never bring this up. It's like, no, you should be able to bring this up. What if you could save her a lot of effort? She's putting in all these things that she thinks it matters. Like, communicate. Talk to your partner.
I actually think you'd get the same response. I think you would. I think it would be, oh, she's doing this for herself. She's not doing it for you, and don't tell her what to do. So.
Well, but Sarah, you wouldn't have any problem if you said, hey, I just want, I was wondering, could I ask you something about your makeup? Yeah, I noticed it takes you a lot of time, and I just wanted to let you know that for me, I think you look just as great, totally natural.
But I don't agree that you wouldn't get equally strong reactions. I think you would get the same, just the other side of the coin.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, I think we agree. AITA for asking my GF to get done up. Certainly a topic that is complex for men to navigate, but he's asking the question. I mean, this is a Dear Prudence, so this is a little disingenuous, but I think we agree this is a no assholes here.
100%.
Guys, please rate, review, and subscribe on the podcast app. It takes 15 seconds. Please do it for me. Please, 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 please. Thank you. I already said the Patreon thing, but there's a lot of juice. You get it. AITA for banning my father from my home because he banned me from his when I was younger. By you, fgluip. When I was 15, my father married a woman I just could not get along with, and there was a lot of friction with her daughter as well. Eventually, the fighting got so bad that my father told me that he would exercise his custody at my grandparents' house instead, effectively banning me from his own home. I said thanks, but no thanks, and stopped seeing him as per the custody schedule. He did make attempts to fix our relationship, but I wasn't interested. We would see each other at family events, and we were nice enough to each other, but that's it. It's now 13 years later, and I'm married with a 1-year-old. His wife passed away in an accident a few years ago, and I'm assuming he's lonely now, but I don't really want to be his backup plan. He comes to see my son once a month, and I only see him at the park and don't engage much with him myself. Last December, he point blank asked me why I never invited him to my home for dinner or why I never accepted his invites to visit him. I told him the truth. He was very upset, but it's the reality of the situation. Was I the asshole?
These are so tough because, like, again, I feel pretty, I feel like I'm always talking out of my ass, especially because, like, I have a good relationship with my parents, so, like, and I don't have kids of my own, so I truly just can't relate.
Well, I see a lot of, what we were just talking about in this, because, I think I appreciate your modesty, but I think, relationships are, for the most part, relationships. Now, there is a special property here, which I referenced in the last episode, which is I do believe in, unconditional love from a parent as kind of a rule. And what I see just based off this read, and I might be reaching here, I see effort. I do see effort. But I see a very self-centered kind of effort from the father, right? It's sort of, everything's kind of framed in how it's negatively affecting him. He asks why I never invited him to my home or why I never accepted his invites. But is father asking the real questions, the tough questions, the questions about, hey, are you okay? Did I raise you well? Has father come to grips with the way that this son was treated? And he probably hasn't, based on the fact that this conversation has somehow not happened.
I don't know. I guess I'm not really fully willing to go with you on there. Obviously, the dad is, like, lacking in self-awareness.
Well, I mean, to push back on what I just said, OP does say he did make attempts to fix our relationship. And then,
right. So it's like, how many times, I mean, like, the dad hasn't given up, but it's like, what's the appropriate line of continuing to make attempts and to try to make amends versus respecting someone's boundaries?
Well, I don't think OP is mad. I think there's a conversation that hasn't happened, and I don't know why it hasn't happened. So and because of my standard for parental love, I'm always going to come down a lot harder on the parents. OP does talk about some of these issues here with the woman and the friction with the daughter. So, and there's an ambiguity there. We don't know what happened. For all we know, OP could be, kind of an asshole about this. I don't know. He was 15, so we don't know if these objections are valid or not. So there's a lot of information we really don't have. But then father says that he effectively banned him. You know what I mean? So that reads
right.
a little
That seems like
up.
A harsh, very, very bad thing to do to a 15-year-old. On the other hand, it does seem like the dad has continually tried to make up for it. To what degree, it's, like, hard to say.
He's made the attempts, but it's hard to know, what the substance of those was. I'm just laying this groundwork because I'm making the point that some of the commenters are coming for OP, and it's just very, very difficult for me to do that.
Okay, well, I kind of want to do some digging in the original post.
Dig it up.
OP says, his wife tried to parent me like she did her daughter when I already had a mother, but the biggest sore point was her comments about my body. I was in volleyball and lacrosse, so I was more muscular than the average girl, which she loved pointing out. Ironically, she died of complications related to obesity. And then she said, in defense of my dad, he did apologize when I was 20 and asked me to come to his house for dinners, but by then my feelings toward him were damaged and I didn't want to go to his home. I told him as such, and we maintained a relatively friendly but superficial relationship.
So these are comments that you pulled off the thread.
Yes.
Well, I feel like an oracle because this father is a piece of shit. I mean, this woman sounds like a nightmare. Going along with my parental love rules, it's like you married a woman who, frankly, sounds deeply toxic.
Yeah.
And you kept her in your life and you effectively cut your daughter out. So you suck. And now you're mad because things aren't how you like, but you've never really dug in, right? They've had this shallow relationship. He's never been able to dug in. He's never been able to get in the weeds and really look at what he did. So, I mean, these are great details, great investigative work there.
Yeah, I guess my question is, it's two people have to build a relationship, and like, what are you supposed to do when the person you're trying to make amends with is just like repeatedly shutting you out?
If they ask for space, you give them space. And a big thing to realize with space is if someone says, hey, don't text me, don't talk to me, you respect the shit out of that because that's the right thing to do always. Because that's the thing, is that they feel disrespected and that's why they're pushing you away for the time being. If they don't dial it in so much and they say, I can't see you for a while, you could send them a very kind email, but you should never indict them or come for them in any way. And I don't think Father's doing that, by the way. He just asked a question. But well, what do you do? I mean, I say that it's okay to pursue them within the boundaries that they've set, but if at any point they set a boundary, you respect the shit out of the boundary.
I don't know why I'm defending the dad. I'm not really, but I kind of feel like he is, he knows he fucked up. He wants to have some relationship. He's choosing the superficial one that OP wants over nothing. I'm not saying that he's right or not the asshole, but I'm like, I can't come for him for not like forcing this deeper relationship.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, you're right there. That could be it. I mean, it's hard for me to give this father the benefit of the doubt given everything I now know. And the line for me that sits heavy is, I told him the truth. Well, why are we just now getting to the truth? And I feel like that's because...
When OP is how many years old?
Exactly. And I will never blame OP for that, given everything I know and given the parental-child relationship. And so I don't know. I don't know why the interactions haven't facilitated the truth. That could be because Father is defensive. It could be because he's not asking questions. It could be because, he's saying sorry and then changing the subject or whatever. It could be any myriad of reasons. But there's a reason. There's a reason for these things. And I'm very much on OP's side because I think this guy was not a great father.
Yeah, I feel like there are so many reasons to not tell family members like serious truths. I don't know, it's pretty like hard and awkward, and especially if you've already kind of written someone off. Like the way that I think about it is always like, well, what's the point?
Well, when you've written them off though, well, yeah, of course. Well, why?
OP has pretty much written the dad off.
Well, because he's been a consistent...
in any substantial capacity, which is fair.
So fair.
So I can see why it took this long for OP to be like, all right, you want to know why? Really? Like, here's why.
Well, yeah, and there's a reason that OP is being guarded and not telling him the truth and not laying it out because, Father sucks. So, like, there's definitely a reason there.
Yeah.
Whisper M writes, YTA for holding a 13-year grudge. He is allowed to remarry and be happy. He tries to remedy the friction by moving the sitch away from the problematic people, his new wife and stepdaughter, and you decline. He tries to be a part of your life, fix the pain you're feeling, and you decline. He tries to be a part of your child's life, and you go bare minimum. Sounds like you hold resentment for him and mom not being together anymore. I mean, I do agree. I think there is tremendous resentment. Tremendous. Of course there's resentment.
Yeah. This whole post reeks of resentment.
Of course, there's valid resentment, and without taking ownership of his actions and without really understanding that what he did, the situation that Father is in, this low contact situation, it's not on OP, it's on Daddy to man the hell up and figure it out. So, and of course he's very upset. He's very upset because he wasn't ready to face the truth and he didn't want the truth, and that's why it didn't come out.
Yeah, I can see that.
Jonathan L says, ESH, I think you should at least give him an opportunity to make amends, and if he turns out to be a prick or is looking for you to support him, then break it off again. Strive to be the better person and let him prove he's still a bad one before you leave him. I don't need more proof. This is your dad. He was an adult. He fucked up over and over. He did not fulfill the parent-child rules. He did not fulfill the unconditional love obligation. There's just nothing to me that says that this guy has his shit together. Fuck him big time.
All right.
Ben C, NTA, but you're clearly mad at your dad and should go to therapy before you turn into your dad. You might end up repairing y'all's relationship in the process.
That's hilarious. I don't know why.
Well, I actually, it is funny because it's true. It is.
Yeah.
You don't want to carry this kind of resentment. These are emotions that need to be processed. You don't need to work with dad on this shit, but you got to go figure out why do you carry this kind of emotion and hate and resentment. You don't want to just have that baggage sitting in your head, because we are all bound to sort of repeat our unprocessed emotions and thoughts. And, I was going to save this for the Patreon, but I'm going through something like this with my crush, because naturally, though I do feel over my ex, I am not over the relationship. I'm not. Of course I'm not. I was in it for 5 years. So,
yeah.
Of course, I'm treating her like we've been together for 5 years. And we've had conversations about doing the dishes and stuff like that. And it felt weird when I did it.
You had conversations about doing the dishes?
Yeah, I was like, oh, I feel so bad.
Why?
You're always doing the dishes. I'll do the dishes next time. And so, I go, that didn't feel right. I don't know why. And I just had that thought and moved on. And that was it. And I'm just repeating the mode that I've been in for the last 5 years. And that's because I'm not over the relationship. I haven't fully processed that. And we had to have a conversation where she goes like, look, like I want to be wooed. And I'm like, oh yeah, you got to woo a woman. I forgot about that shit. You got to take them out, and you can't be all practical all the time. That's something that happens later.
Yeah, doing the dishes talk is decidedly unsexy.
Not sexy. But, you got to do those dishes, people. So you're leaving too many in the sink. I see you, listener. Don't wait for your roommate. Get in there and do the... Okay, I'm talking to myself. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Sean T writes, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Just because he's your dad doesn't mean you owe him shit. You don't just dump your kid off on your parents and hope they'll still like you. NTA.
Yes.
Yet another a great way.
I'm not really sure about the viscosity of blood versus amniotic fluid, but other than that...
Well, it's water versus blood, Sarah. I mean, the reason that he's quoting this, and this is a point that was...
But is it literally water?
Yes.
Inside your womb?
Yes, when your water breaks, that's why they call it your water breaking, because it's basically water.
Basically water.
What are you, an amniotic fluid truther, Sarah? Give me a
That's
fucking
what I'm
break.
saying. What is amniotic fluid made of? Okay, you're right. It's mostly water.
For the love of God. What kind of... she's falling off the deep end, people. I've lost Sarah. What's going on? This quote, though, is great. And we've talked about this before, because people say blood is thicker than water, right? And that usually means that that you're saying that it's better, like family is better than friends, right? Because that's blood. But the original quote is that the blood of the covenant, so the bond that you're forming, is thicker than the water of the womb. In other words...
Wait, so everyone just totally bastardized this quote?
Totally bastardized.
Fuck. That's crazy.
Crazy, right? Tamara O writes, Gentle YTA, your father suggested a solution when you were a teen that was a compromise. How bad was your relationship with your stepmother? Was she cruel? Were you a teen that was angry that your father was dating again and acted out?
All right, well, we kind of already addressed this, but it's not on the commenters to go digging through the Reddit post for the OP's clarifications.
That's true. Who has the time? You do, Sarah. And that's why you're great. Top Reddit comment, double P Pedro 15, NTA, people keep expecting us sons and daughters to be the bigger person and try to fix the screw ups our parents did to our relations, which is something I don't believe is fair. Your actions are the direct consequence of his, and it's his problem to understand and make peace with that. That's a beautiful way to put it. It is his problem. It's his fuck up.
Yep.
Well, Sarah, I feel like you don't have the vitriol I have for this guy.
I really just don't, because, I don't know. I can't relate. Also, I have empathy for, people who make mistakes and seemingly try to fix them. I don't know. I don't feel like I have any really leg to stand on to just, comfort, to be, to really hate on this guy to the degree that you do.
Well, here's the thing. I also have empathy, and I recognize people make mistakes. I have much less forgiveness, and I'm much less willing to hear shit from parents who I know are not executing on the unconditional love contract that I believe you should legally be required to sign. And I don't think this is a good father, and that's what I'm upset about, because I think a lot of people jump into parenthood and they don't really realize what they're getting into, and I think this is a classic case. You don't get to marry a shitty woman. You don't get to marry a shitty spouse if you have a kid, right? And the tension there, I especially after a comment, I realized it is due to this person. This was not a great oh, well, I needed her. I was sad. It's like, no, you did not man up. You did not fulfill the parental duty. I don't have a lot of forgiveness for this individual, especially in the context of the situation. AITA for banning my father from my home because he banned me from his when I was younger. I think we do agree nonetheless, not the asshole and the father is.
I'll go with NTA, yeah.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite part of the show, listener submissions. This is a fun one, Sarah. AITA, if I purposefully hit the car next to me harder with my car door if they park ridiculously close to me. When I park, I'm always mindful of the cars I park next to, especially if I'm parking on the left of someone. However, there have been times when I come out my apartment to go to work in the morning and someone has parked so close to my driver's side door that I struggle to get into my car. AITA if I, quote unquote, accidentally on purpose, ding their passenger side door with my driver's side door if they park unreasonably too close.
Oh, be honest, have you done that?
No, I mean, I was never, when I was driving, it was in Phoenix, Arizona, and there's actually more parking lots than there are houses. There's
that's nice.
Everywhere is a parking lot.
That's nice. Parking in Atlanta is like a nightmare.
Oh yeah, I mean in every city really. Driving in Phoenix is heavenly. It's so easy. It was like never an issue really. Don S writes, "Would you be the asshole if you intentionally did damage to someone's property because you were inconvenienced?"
It's funny because it's like, all right, when you put it that way.
I mean, I think it's a really fair way to put it. I think the reality is that if it were the case that we could know that people were parking close intentionally, then maybe it would be a different thing. But you can never really know because the person next to them might have parked in a way that fucked them. Like there's a million reasons.
You truly never know.
There's just no reason to be this
punitive. Not really fair.
What? Because you had to crawl through your car? You have a car. So crawl through the window. What?
I will say I'm kind of surprised that most of the comments went this way just because I feel like people love petty revenge historically.
Yeah, you're right. Bonnie A writes, YTA, they could have been forced in that position by someone else's shitty parking job. Whisper M, ESH, she said they should be considerate, but that's not a free pass to ding doors. Erica K says, I do that, so if you're the asshole, then so am I, which actually isn't really an opinion. It's just sort of a weird circular thing.
It's not, but I just thought it was fun.
She's literally forcing us to personally attack her. We can't label a verdict unless we call Erica an asshole.
Well, sometimes she admits it.
Eddie K brings some formality to the issue. He says this is only acceptable if they're on or over the line. But again...
Okay, that I can kind of get on board with.
I can kind of get on board, but again, you don't know the situation. You don't know that the asshole next to them is on the line. Then what? You're going to survey the whole parking lot. You don't know the history of the parking lot. You don't know what happened 4 hours ago where they had to park. I mean, look, if it's a truck, you know those trucks that take up 2 parking spots? I think it's ethical to drive your car up to the truck and then open your door and ding the truck. I will say that because that is a clear-cut case of an asshole.
Yes.
Nonetheless, I don't think there's really much to say here. You don't want to damage someone's car, just don't do that. Leave a note. If you need to get it out, leave a note.
Don't leave a fucking note.
What's wrong with the
my God.
note?
It's like, move on with your life. Like, people are just like, they enjoy being petty and passive aggressive too much. Like, someone made a shitty parking job, but like, you'll forget about it in 10 minutes.
That's true.
Don't ruin someone's day by making...
You know what, Sarah? You got me. Leaving a note is watering a weed. You got me. She got me, people. And she won Guess the Verdict. It's been a trying app for me. I think we agree. AITA, if I purposely hit the car next to me harder with my car door, if they park ridiculously close, we do agree. YTA.
We sure do.
All right, guys. Well, that's the ep. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. You already know how you can support the podcast. That's by rate, reviewing, and subscribing. And we love it if you checked out our Patreon, patreon.com/AITAPOD. I'm plugging hard. Thanks for putting up with it. We're seeing a lot of growth, so we really appreciate your support, and we love you, and we'll see you next week.
Woo. Bye.